Om Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavai Tejasvina Vaditamastu Ma Vidvishavai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. May the Divine Being look over us lovingly as a mother and father. May the Divine Being support and nourish us as a mother and father. May we have the strength and skill to study together the art of spirituality. May no misunderstandings arise amongst us. Om, peace, peace, peace and blessed beneficence be unto us and to all beloved beings everywhere. Well, good evening, you three, and namaste. Welcome to our reading and discussion of Bhagavad Gita. As usual, the rest of the crowd seems to be a little tardy, but we're just going to plunge ahead anyway. If we wait for them, we have no idea how long to wait to see how many people get here. So I got tired of thinking about quorums. So we're just going to go ahead. Our beloved reader, Swayam Prabha, will tell us where we are and what it is that we're up to. But before we do that, Glenn, Bhaskar, anything left over from our previous reading and discussion that gives rise to a comment or concern or question? Anything at all? All right, then, Swayam, please let us proceed.
Okay. Namaste, everybody. We are on chapter 6, the yoga of meditation, and we had reached up to page 82 in Swami Prabhavananda's book. But I'm going to actually begin from page 81 with Arjuna's question, so that there is a little bit of continuity. So Arjuna asks Krishna, you describe this yoga as a life of union with Brahman, but I do not see how this can be permanent. The mind is so very restless. Restless man's mind is so strongly shaken in the grip of the senses, grows and grown hard with stubborn desire for what is worldly. How shall he tame it? Truly, I think the wind is no wilder. And then Krishna replies, yes, Arjuna, the mind is restless, no doubt, and hard to subdue, but it can be brought under control by constant practice and by the exercise of dispassion. Certainly, if a man has no control over his ego, he will find this yoga difficult to master. But a self-controlled man can master it if he struggles hard and uses the right means. Arjuna asks, suppose a man has faith but does not struggle hard enough. His mind wanders away from the practice of yoga and he fails to reach perfection. What will become of him then? When a man goes astray from the path to Brahman, he has missed both lives, the worldly and the spiritual. He has no support anywhere. Is he not lost as a broken cloud is lost in the sky? This is the doubt that troubles me, Krishna, and only you can altogether remove it from my mind? Let me hear your answer. Shri Krishna replies, No, my son, that man is not lost, either in this world or the next. No one who seeks Brahman ever comes to an evil end. Even if a man falls away from the practice of yoga, he will still win the heaven of the doers of good deeds and dwell there many long years. After that, he will be reborn into the home of pure and prosperous parents. He may even be born into a family of illumined yogis. But such a birth in this world is more difficult to obtain. He will then regain that spiritual discernment which he acquired in his former body, and so will strive harder than ever for perfection. Because of his practices in the previous life, he will be driven on toward union with Brahman, even in spite of himself. For the man who has once asked the way to Brahman goes further than any mere fulfiller of the Vedic rituals. By struggling hard and cleansing himself of all impurities, that yogi will move gradually toward perfection through many births and reach the highest goal at last. Great is that yogi who seeks to be with Brahman, greater than those who mortify the body, greater than the learned, greater than the doer of good works. Therefore, Arjuna, become a yogi. He gives me all his heart. He worships me in faith and love. The yogi above every other I call my very own. And that's the end of that chapter.
Okay. This notice that Krishna has made an immense promise that if you start down this path and pursue it with sincerity, you will achieve the goal. Now, he talks about many lifetimes and cleansing yourself of impurities over many lifetimes. Sri Ramakrishna came to shortcut that. Sri Ramakrishna can, by his grace, all his austerities were practiced for our sake. In other words, if we take his invitation, if we accept his invitation, he will cleanse us of all impurities. He will unchain us and set us free. So you don't need to wait these many lifetimes. This is why the avatars come, why the great incarnations come, so that they can offer you their hand. And out of their love for your divine being, their love for humanity as these jivas, these embodied souls, they offer themselves in sacrifice. How great was thy sacrifice, freely choosing thy birth in this prison, our iron age, to unchain us and set us free. And so this is the promise that goes beyond Sri Krishna's. Sri Krishna spoke these words about 5,000 years ago, approximately. Things were very different then. The Kali Yuga was not ending. Sri Ramakrishna, because the Kali Yuga is ending, has come and has offered us his hand. And Holy Mother offers her hand, and Vivekananda offers his hand. Raja Maharaj offers his hand. All of them are saying, we have the keys to the treasure box. Come, accept my invitation. Now, I know that this is quite a lot to take in, and I am not expecting you to believe it. I'm expecting, if anything at all, that you will countenance it, you will think about it, and consider, well, is it worth an attempt? Is it worth making an approach to Sri Ramakrishna through one of his eternal teachers, in this case, Swami Sarvadevananda, and asking Swami Sarvadevananda, Swami, I want to accept Sri Ramakrishna's invitation. What is the way forward? Words of your own, not mine. Whatever you decide you want to ask, but that will approximate the content. What is the way forward if I accept Sri Ramakrishna's invitation? And then, of course, you would listen carefully to his answer. Is there anything from anyone about anything that has been said by Sri Krishna or from here that gives rise to a comment or something from your own wisdom or experience, or to any concern or question?
Brother Shankara?
Yes, dear.
So I'm so grateful that I have come into the Sharnagat of Sri Ramakrishna. I do have a question though about one of the things that Sri Krishna says here,
Yes.
where he says that such a birth in this world is more difficult to obtain. And then he gives two categories. One is home of pure and prosperous parents, and then a family of illumined yogis. So which one of the two is difficult to obtain, or both?
Well, I think he's pointing to the second. No, the first is if you've been following the path toward Brahman but have fallen away, the first is guaranteed. You will come into the home of pious, pure, and prosperous parents. Prosperous enough to where the wolf isn't always at the door. It doesn't mean wealthy in the sense of, having lots and lots of money. But there will be enough. There'll be enough food, enough clothing, enough shelter to where you don't have to concern yourself. And then he says, having taken that birth, you will be impelled forward by your previous struggles. It will manifest in you again, and you will move forward. Now, this is where I'm saying Sri Ramakrishna now intervenes and says, we can accelerate that process if you accept my invitation. This born into the home of illumined souls is the one that he is most, it says, that kind of birth in this world is difficult to obtain, and only a few do. I mean, how many people were born into the family of Meher Baba, for example? How many people were born into the family of Nisargadatta? These are the illumined souls that we can point to and say they had a family. And so, does that answer the question, Swam?
Yes, Brother Shankara, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else from anyone about anything we've read, or just any other topic that you'd like to bring up that's related to this, or anything else about what we've studied. All right then, Swayam, please go on with the next chapter.
Okay. So the next chapter, chapter 7, knowledge and experience. Sri Krishna, devote your whole mind to me and practice yoga. Take me for your only refuge. I will tell you how, by doing this, you can know me in my total reality without any shadow of doubt. I will give you all this knowledge and direct spiritual experience besides. When a man has that, nothing else in the world remains to be known. Who cares to seek for that perfect freedom? One man, perhaps, in many thousands. Then tell me, how many of those who seek freedom shall know the total truth of my being? Perhaps one only. My Prakriti is of eightfold composition: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intellect, and ego.
Hold on just a moment, Swayam.
Mhm.
Note this is the Sankhya formulation. Sri Krishna is speaking here from the Sankhya philosophy. It is not the same as the Vedanta philosophy, but it is very much the frame of reference from which Sri Krishna speaks, this Sankhya philosophy. And so Swayam will read that again. We may note also that this is the same frame of reference from which the sage Patanjali speaks in preparing his workbook, the Yoga Sutras. Swayam, would you read that again, please?
Sure. My Prakriti is of eightfold composition: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intellect, and ego. You must understand this. You must understand that behind this and distinct from it is that which is the principle of consciousness in all beings.
In other words, the Atman. So there is this time, space, and causation, the five elements, and the other cosmic principles, intellect, ego, and mind. And so these are, and the senses, and so on. So all of that is within time, space, and causation. This other is beyond time, space, and causation. It is, he's pointing to the Atman. So please read that again, Swayam, from my Prakriti.
My Prakriti is of eightfold composition: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intellect, and ego. You must understand that behind this and distinct from it is that which is the principle of consciousness in all beings and the source of life in all. It sustains the universe. Know this, my Prakriti, united with me, the womb of all beings. I am the birth of this cosmos, its dissolution also. I am he who causes no other beside me. Upon me, these worlds are held like pearls strung on a thread. I am the essence of the waters, the shining of the sun and the moon. Om in all the Vedas, the word that is God. It is I who resound in the ether and am potent in man. I am the sacred smell of the earth, the light of the fire, life of all lives, austerity of the ascetics. Know me, eternal seed of everything that grows, the intelligence of those who understand, the vigor of the active. In the strong, I am strength, unhindered by lust and the objects of craving. I am all that a man may desire, without transgressing the law of his nature. You must know that whatever belongs to the states of sattva, rajas, and tamas proceeds from me. They are contained in me, but I am not in them. The entire world is deluded by the moods and mental states, which are the expression of these three gunas. That is why the world fails to recognize me as I really am. I stand apart from them all, supreme and deathless.
Okay, now there's once again what Sri Krishna is saying is God alone is the doer. I am the doer. I, the divine principle that exists in all beings, am the doer, not your body, mind, and intellect, not the five cosmic principles expressed as the elements, air, fire, water, ether, and so on. So apart from that, he says, apart from that is what I am. And then he goes on to define it in one of these catalogs that is found in the Gita. I am the shining of the sun. I am the essence of the water. I am the smell of the earth. This is why there's a 5-item puja, offering all of this back to the Lord in the form of whatever your chosen ideal is. So, having listened to all that, does it give rise to any comment, concern, or question among any of you? If there's something you'd like to say that affirms this in the way of a comment from your own wisdom or experience, please share it. If there's any concern or question that any of what Sri Krishna has said, or if any of that causes a question or concern to arise, please voice that.
Brother Shankara,
Yes, dear.
can you please talk a little bit about what he means when he says that I am all that a man may desire without transgressing the law of his nature? So, what does it mean here, transgressing the law of one's own nature?
Well, he's pointing directly to Dharma. He's pointing directly toward, the legitimate desires. We can have illegitimate desires. The desire to possess great wealth for the sake of the wealth, the desire to have great power over others. These are illegitimate desires. The desire to be sufficiently prosperous that you keep the wolf from the door, so you don't have to ever think about where the next meal is coming from, or how you're going to pay your mortgage or rent, or how you're going to clothe and feed your family. All of this, those are legitimate desires. So anything that is immoderate excessive tends to fall into this category. When the desire becomes immoderate and excessive, it falls into this category of transgressing the law of his nature. The law of your nature is the law as expressed by the Saguna Atman, which is the perfect and harmonious balance of the attributes of the divine being: love, compassion, mercy, taking joy in the joy of others, having compassion and active compassion for the sorrow and the grieving of others, and so on. All this falls within the legitimate. Immoderate. If you want to know what is pointed to, in a way, you can just look at the yamas, the restraints as spoken of by Patanjali. Anything that he's telling us we must restrain is one of these illegitimate desires.
I think my confusion arose from the qualifiers when he said a man and then his nature. I thought maybe it was referring to individual and not,
Well, it is referring to an individual. It is referring to each individual, not just. This is why it's a man rather than the man. It is each individual. Now, of course, in Sri Krishna's day, he didn't speak of man and woman much. There's a couple of instances where he mentions women in the Gita. But basically, it's all the masculine pronoun. But don't be confused by that. He means a human being. And he specifically includes everyone at one point. We'll find it as we read on. Even the untouchable. Everyone is included in this invitation to liberation.
I think trying to frame my question here. Basically, the transgressions are common, right, for everyone. So it's not like individualized.
Well, you may be individually transgressing, but the things that are the transgressions are common to everyone, yes. Though some people are far more excessive than others. As Swami Sarvadevananda says, those who crave wealth, if they get a half a billion dollars, they want $1 billion. If they get $1 billion, they want $4 billion. If they get $4 billion, they want $40 billion. Now these are Swami Sarvadevananda's words. And so this is where, as I said, excessive, immoderate, completely off the scale of anything that falls within moderation.
Thank you. That makes it clear.
Okay. But it does mean each individual human being.
So in this chapter, is it that Krishna is trying to reveal himself, and the method that he's using is, he talks about the 8 principles, which seems like every time he talks about nature, it's the Prakriti of the Sankhya philosophy, and he's trying to differentiate and try to show that on that same philosophy what Purusha is, and that's what he's revealing himself to be.
Yes, precisely, Bhaskar. Exactly that. And he does speak about nature or Prakriti within the context of Sankhya philosophy. That was the prevailing philosophy of the time. It was what people were familiar with. So naturally, Sri Krishna spoke in those terms. He wanted to be understood. And as I said, there are other ways of seeing this, but it doesn't matter. As Swami Prabhavananda said, when you get right down to it, the two different definitions, the Vedanta definition and the Sankhya definition, and for that matter, the other four darshanas, their definitions, he said, when you get right down to it, they are distinctions without a difference. Underneath is the truth of being, both the being of universe, time, space, and causation, cause and effect, and so on, and then that which is beyond or apart from, which is that the source of our being, which is the summary word is Atman. So you're absolutely right, Bhaskar. That's exactly what he's doing. He is defining himself
more
as
of a
Purusha.
detailed question here. He talks about the Prakriti and he comes up with the eightfold composition on which he has 5 principles, which is the external principles, and he has the internal ones, mind, intellect, and ego, manas, ahankar, and buddhi. But there are others too, and I mean, I'm just being that equals to 24. Why did he just choose this 8 to start explaining here?
Because those are the ones that are used to create human beings. These 8 principles are what the gunas use to create human beings. He also mentions the gunas, but he doesn't include them among the 8, because the gunas, though not causative, are the proximate cause of their being an embodied being. They are what brings it into being. But they use these 8 of the cosmic principles to bring it into being. If you look at the back of Swami Prabhavananda's book on the Gita, if you look at the back of his, he talks about the cosmology of the Gita, which is the Sankhya philosophy, and you will see that these that Sri Krishna talks about are the final 8 of the 24 cosmic principles. So they are the ones that are used to create time, space, and causation, if you will, as a reality for us, of a reality of which we seem to be a part. And it is only a...
So that was a great revelation, because often and commonly accepted, it seems like there are folks who love the Gita, and then there are a fewer lesser folks who love the Yoga Sutras. But by going through what you just said, I'm seeing a commonality that it's all based on Sankhya.
Yes, precisely. Precisely. It's all based in Sankhya. And it is, both of them are workbooks. Sri Krishna's Gita, his song to the song of God to Arjuna, is a workbook primarily rooted in and based on karma yoga, the yoga of action, because he's talking to the people of the world by and large. That's most people are people of action. And he even explains that in chapter 17, why that is so, the field and its knower. So so his is a book based in karma yoga primarily, though bhakti is there and jnana is there. But Patanjali is based in Raja Yoga, which Swami Vivekananda calls psychic control, control of the psyche, control of the mind and the body and its expression. And so this is a different yoga that Sri Krishna gestures to when he says you must learn to practice meditation and control the mind and the senses and so on. But he doesn't specifically talk about he does a little bit in saying that you have to sit this way and practice in this way, but it's just a gesture toward it, not near. He doesn't make it a long discussion about how to practice what Patanjali calls Raja Yoga. But you're right, they are absolutely based in a common philosophy, Sankhya. And it's important for us to understand that Sankhya philosophy, at least in a summary or preliminary sense, which is why Swami Prabhavananda put that appendix at the back of the book, the Cosmology of the Gita. So we would have some rudimentary understanding of Sankhya. Sankhya is a very profound and detailed, it's science. Sankhya is you could say it's an early form of left-brained, you could even say it's in a way reductionist, because it reduces the time, space, and causation to these three gunas and their products. And if you go to this Sankhya and look at what Kapila wrote, what he actually set down, and how detailed it is, his description of the structure of the universe, so much of tamas, so much of rajas, so much of sattva, that produces this, so much in this and this and this. He just uses these three elements to create all that is, but it'll remind you of nothing so much as the periodic table of chemistry. I mean, they use more bits and pieces, but it's the same idea. You put these bits and pieces together this way, you get this product. You put the bits and pieces together this way, you get this product. And it's the same idea. And as I said, Sankhya is in its way even reductionist, and this is why it is not the same as Vedanta, because Vedanta is not reductionist. If that makes sense to anyone, I hope it does.
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhaskar. As always, your questions and comments are right on point.
Brother Shankara?
Yes, dear.
So I think I have a couple of sort of questions. One, I'll do the first one first. I think this sentence is key here, that the entire world is deluded by the moods and mental states which are the expression of these three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. And I think in one of your talks you mentioned gravity, electricity, and inertia.
Yeah, well, these are John Dobson's, he calls it, the talk is the equations of Maya, and he translates the three gunas into those physical principles, yes. So say them again.
Gravity, electricity, and inertia.
Yes, inertia being tamas, gravity being sattva, and electricity being rajas. So inertia, tamas, electricity, rajas, gravity, sattva. Why gravity, sattva? It's that which, it's easy to understand inertia and tamas. It's easy to understand electricity, the projecting power as electricity. It's a little harder to understand sattva as gravity. Gravity is that which pulls things together. And having pulled them together, they more closely interact. And so love, compassion, the negative aspects of this is why even sattva is called a robber, because it has the negative aspects of holding our attention, that is its downside. In our contentment of being in this gravitational pull and in relationships, and this is it actually robs us of the motivation, the zeal to move on. It can do that. And so this is each of the gunas has its plus side. Inertia, this is why John translated it to that. There would be no universe without inertia. There must be something on which a fulcrum can operate. And so the inertia, the principle of inertia is necessary. The earth exists because of inertia. The earth is, in a sense, very tamasic. It's also very sattvic. And of course, as we see very amply demonstrated in today's world, it can be extremely and very threateningly rajasic.
I think I'm letting my imagination run wild, but using these three principles of, I guess, physics or chemistry or whatever, the gravity, electricity, and inertia, we can almost kind of see how the gunas are, or that these three are using the five elements, earth, water, fire, air, and ether, to embody.
No, your imagination isn't running wild at all, dear. That's exactly what Kapila says happens. It is the last of the cosmic principles. The gunas using these things that you just mentioned, and the 8 things that Krishna mentions, the 5 elements in their subtle and then the gross form. And so we get this embodiment, this stardust spacesuit. It is created. It is created of those elements, and it continues to exist because the gunas continue to stimulate it. If they didn't, it would stop, which is what we call death, but it's not death at all. It's just a dissolution of this particular embodiment. So what was the second question?
Yeah, the final question is the transgression as well as the self-control of the transgression. Everything is ultimately done by the gunas or by Krishna. Is that?
Yes. But when the divine being creates universe, it creates it with both the negative as well as the positive. As Holy Mother said, the first time universe was created, Brahma endowed human beings, God, she just uses the word God, God endowed human beings only with goodness. Well, because of this, that they had only the revealing power, goodness, sattva. The revealing power showed them that this was a shadow show, that this was just going to be an entrapment, an entanglement. And so their wisdom led them to pray, please, we see what this is, we don't want it, please release us. And because they were accurate in their perception and sincere in their prayer, the universe dissolved. And so Brahma, or God, in Mother's words, said, this is not how to make them play the game. The game, for whatever reason, because it can go on it does go on. Why it exists cannot be said, but it was Brahma's responsibility to bring it into being. So he said, this is not, these are mother's words, this is not how to make them play the game. So the second time he manifested the universe, in order to hypnotize us and entangle us, he endowed human beings not only with goodness, sattva, but with profuse quantities, mother's words, profuse quantities of materialism, tamas, and vanity, rajas. So now we have goodness, materialism, and vanity all as part of our embodiment and part of our being, our time, space, and causation being. And so then Mother said the game could go on with a swing. This is her words. So we were endowed with profuse quantities, in addition to goodness, profuse quantities of materialism and vanity, and then the game could go on with a swing. And so here we sit this evening. Here we sit, part of the game, Mother's sport, Mother's Leela. Sri Krishna says it's his. Swami Vivekananda said, Krishna is none but Mother's shadow. He's nothing but Mother's shadow. So he's speaking as the doer, though he is speaking from Vivekananda's point of view and from Sri Ramakrishna's point of view. He's speaking as the Mother, embodied as Krishna. Does all that make any sense?
Absolutely. I cannot but help transgress whenever a plate of fresh chocolate chip cookies is presented before me. I cannot stop with just one.
No. And Sri Ramakrishna doesn't. If you ate 6, then that would be, you would be transgressing. Simply because it's immoderate. There's just, but 2, no problem. As Sri Ramakrishna said, you come to the mango grove, eat the mangoes.
So, brother, this may seem out of left field, and if you don't want to go there, that's okay. But if you rolled all the things we've just said in the last, 10 minutes, that's why they would say Om in Sri Ramakrishna's ear to bring them out of samadhi.
Absolutely. Because Om is just exactly what Sri Krishna says it is. It is the root word, the root vibration for everything. And so, we're talking now everything. When Sri Ramakrishna was in samadhi, he was beyond thingness.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that would bring them back into the creation.
Into the thingness, yes. You're absolutely right. That's why they would whisper Om in his ear. And it was only certain people who really knew how to say Om that could do this. Not just anybody saying it. Most people, when they say Om, they're not really listening to what they're saying.
Yeah, it probably had to be somebody that actually understood the process, I would
think. They had a spiritual understanding of Om, so that they could speak the word from that perspective, from that understanding. Thank you, Glenn, as always. Good point. Anything else from anyone? All right, we have about 10 minutes left. If there is nothing left in the way of a comment, concern, or question, Swayam can read on.
Okay. How hard to break through is this, my Maya, made of the gunas. But he who takes refuge within me only shall pass beyond Maya, he and no other.
Now, please repeat that, and with great emphasis, note what he's saying. The gunas and their resultant universe do not need to be a trap or to bind you. And here's how it can not bind you. Sri Krishna is very explicit.
How hard to break through is this, my Maya, made of the gunas. But he who takes refuge within me only shall pass beyond Maya, he and no other.
Shall pass beyond Maya. This is what I meant by Sri Krishna and Samadhi. Sri Ramakrishna and Samadhi. He was beyond thingness. He was no longer, his consciousness was no longer affixed to thingness. To Maya, which is a creation of the gunas. And how to do this? We take refuge in the divine being. How do we do this? By asking, by making it a plea of our heart. Saranagata hum. Give me refuge. Give me shelter. Saranagata hum. At one time, I told Swami Swahananda of an experience, and his response was, get a large piece of paper, print on it in large black type, Saranagata hum. I take refuge in thee. This is, of course, we see this as part of the evening prayer. Tasmat tvameva saranagato hum. Therefore, O sweet one, I take refuge in you. So we do this by letting it be the yearning of our heart. And when it is the yearning of your heart, I say on a daily basis, it becomes your priority to take refuge with the divine, rather than taking refuge or trying to take refuge in the world. What Sri Krishna says is, I'll get behind that and make it happen. And Sri Ramakrishna says the same thing. Practice just a little and someone will come forward to help you. So please read that again, Swayam. And if there are any comments or concerns or questions, please let's get the clarifications either from you as a comment or a response to a concern or question.
How hard to break through is this? How hard to break through is this, my Maya, made of the gunas? But he who takes refuge within me only shall pass beyond Maya, he and no other.
Any comments, concerns, or questions? Okay, let's go ahead.
The evildoers turn not toward me. These are deluded, sunk low among mortals. Their judgment is lost in the maze of Maya, until the heart is human no longer. changed within to the heart of a devil. Among those who are purified by their good deeds, there are 4 kinds of men who worship me: the world weary, the seeker for knowledge, the seeker for happiness, and the man of spiritual discrimination.
Okay, please read those again, please. These are the 4 forms of knowledge that Sri Krishna, the 4 forms of seeking spiritual knowledge that Sri Krishna ennobles by naming them specifically. So please read that again.
Among those who are purified by their good deeds, there are 4 kinds of men who worship me: the world weary, the seeker for knowledge, the seeker for happiness, and the man of spiritual discrimination. The man of discrimination is the highest of these. He is continually united with me. He devotes himself to me always and to no other.
He does,
For
what's the verb again? He does what?
he is continually united with me. He devotes himself to me.
Devotes, that's the word I missed, I'm sorry.
He devotes himself to me always and to no other. For I am very dear to that man, and he is dear to me. Certainly, all these are noble, but the man of discrimination I see as my very self. For he alone loves me, because I am myself the last and only goal of his devoted heart. Through many a long life, his discrimination ripens. He makes me his refuge, knows that Brahman is all. How rare are such great ones!
Now, let me repeat. Sri Ramakrishna came to shorten this process. If you make your appeal to Sri Ramakrishna and say, I want to accept your invitation to unchain me and set me free, if you earnestly pray that, if you yearn for that, he, Sri Ramakrishna, can and will make it happen. This is the promise of those who are the apostles. They are in apostolic succession to Sri Ramakrishna himself and carry his message, his promise, and the keys to his spiritual treasure box, which is the treasure box that shares his spiritual attainments and his spiritual power and carries you forward and out of this life. So if you wish to be what Sri Krishna just said, it doesn't have to be through many a long life. This, again, as I said, this was 5,000 years ago, approximately. And so Sri Ramakrishna, since Sri Krishna came, there have been a succession of teachers who came to offer us different ways of toward freedom. Adi Shankaracharya, the Buddha, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then Sri Ramakrishna. And so, again, please be of good cheer if you wish to be free and you wish to embody that which Sri Krishna just said. It is possible, not after many long lifetimes, but right now, right in this lifetime. That is why Sri Ramakrishna came. He came to be breaker of this world's chain. Let us, Swami Vivekananda wrote, let us look deep in thine eyes. They are bright with the wisdom of God, the knowledge. They are bright with the wisdom of God that can wake us from Maya's spell. Any final thought or concern or question from anyone?
I would just say that's a good thing, because when I read the Jewel of Discrimination, it's mind numbing.
Well,
It almost makes you feel hopeless, because you're like, I'm never going to get this.
well, it's an interesting story. Swami Prabhavananda, as a young monk, he wasn't yet Swami Prabhavananda, he was a young monk. He was studying the crest jewel of discrimination, Viveka Chudamani, with Swami Turiyananda. And Swami Turiyananda said for him to go away and contemplate and meditate on the qualifications that Adi Shankaracharya said were necessary to become a student of this path. So Prabhavananda did what he said to do. And after a period of time, I don't remember how many days it was, he came back and met with Turiyananda again. And he said, well, Swami, he said, it seems to me, if you have become qualified as identified as defined by Adi Shankaracharya, you're already there. And Turiyananda simply smiled, a sweet smile, and said, I see you have solved the puzzle. So no reason to feel hopeless, Glenn. No reason to feel hopeless. Just think, how can I be that which Adi Shankaracharya defines as the qualifications for a fit student? And if you are that, you're there. The rest is assured. And I think that'll do it for tonight. Any final thought or concern or question from anyone? All right, dears. As usual, as always, this is such a delight to share this with you. May we all be well and in bright spirits. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai, Durga Durga Durga. May we all be safe. May we all be healthy. May we all be cheerful. May we all have peace of mind. May we all go forward in the knowledge that we are in the loving and protective embrace of the Divine Being as our Mother and Father. Hari Om Tat Sat. Dearly beloved, make it so. Om Hari Om. Om Asato Ma Satkamaya. Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya. Mrityorma Amrutangamaya. Abir Moiti. O dearly beloved, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. Light us through and through. Light us through and through with thy everlasting shining presence. And when we are lit through and through with that everlasting shining presence, that is Savikalpa Samadhi. That's what's being prayed for there. Give me that realization of the truth of your being, of the unity of being. Jai Shri Ramakrishna Jai Ma. Jai Shri Krishna. Jai Radhama. Any final thought or concern or question from anyone? All right, dears. So glad you were with us. Away we go. Until Saturday.